What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a great day as always. And today is episode 2 of Project Georgia. In the last episode, went ahead and addressed, well, more like dove into the project, to say the least. We removed the alternator, the thermostat housing, not thermostat, well, yeah, thermostat housing, oil filter housing, both tensioners, the top one as well as the bottom one, both belts, airbox, coolant expansion tank. We tore it apart, but it was fun, very fun. And you know, a small update actually on that tensioner that I purchased. That's actually correct. So the tensioner is actually a hydraulic tensioner that I purchased to replace this top one right here. That actually attaches to the oil filter housing. It actually replaces the mechanical style with a hydraulic, so it's actually an upgrade, but I actually had forgotten that I kind of bought that upgrade, so I actually thought it was for this bottom one down here, this tensioner right there. So I do have the parts coming now to essentially rebuild this one. This is the bottom one. So I have a new hydraulic tensioner as well as a new pulley. And then we have to reuse this bracket and this arm. So that is squared away. And I'm just waiting on a radiator, another hose, and those two parts for the tensioner. But bought a few things at Harbor Freight. Torque wrench, because I need to torque down the valve cover gasket properly. A little parts tray so I can be a little bit more organized. Some heat shrink tubing because I want to heat shrink this little harness. This was on the thermostat housing, I believe, and when I was removing it, the black sheathing had just pretty much torn off. It was very old, so go ahead and heat shrink that. Magnet, because you always need a magnet. You'll drop stuff and it's handy to have. And transfer pump for brake fluid and other future things. And then at Walmart I got some more brake clean, some gasket maker for the the valve cover gasket. There's a couple spots where you're supposed to put a little dab. Some steel wool and some gloves, as well as Purple Power Extreme. I don't know, I watched a video that said that did a pretty good job at cleaning aluminum, so I guess we'll maybe test that out today. But yeah. So, gotta remove these two covers and then the coils. And well, we'll see what else is in the way. Doing a nice thing about these early inline sixes is that, man, coils, spark plugs, I'm assuming valve cover gasket, pretty easy to do. Just gotta pop these covers off. Got one more. Pop these covers off so that we can get access to take these trim pieces off. If you do lose one of these, you can buy them. I did see that. And I'm guessing that's just a 10. I got a nut and I got a bolt. And these covers just pop off. Oh, cap has to come off, I think. Removing the coils is pretty easy. Just use a screwdriver or something to lift up on this tab, and it frees up. Then you can just wiggle off this connector, if I remember correctly. Yep, there she goes. Alright, those are free. Now I gotta undo all these 10 millimeters to remove the coil. A little fist for that one. All right. That's why I bought a magnet. All right. And because these coils were just put in not too long ago, they should come out nice and easy. I'm gonna try to place them back in the order that I took them out. Whoop. Cool. And let's see if I can find that bolt that I dropped. So I'm kind of just picking away at a few things, getting stuff free from the valve cover. Got some wiring tucked away, kind of getting stuff separate. This rear harness back here, getting that separated from the valve cover. Gotta figure out the coils, that harness. I'm guessing these little clips just lift and then you can lift this out. Starting to undo these 10 millimeters on the valve cover. Got a few of them so far, but I do see seepage in the back, so yep, definitely time for the valve cover to be done, but so far pretty easy. So I'm working on getting all the hardware removed. There's various 10 millimeters scattered all about. You do have to remove the ground straps at the end of cylinders 1 and 6. You have to remove the ground strap, and then on one of these it actually removed the stud from the head. So essentially it kind of looked like this. Granted, this was all the way screwed in, so it pulled this whole assembly out. So what I had to do was put my 10 mil in and then grab a 10 millimeter wrench and then bust them apart that way. So that worked. Now I just gotta put the stud back in the head. So removing the actual coil harness, it's actually rather simple. Right here you can see, hopefully, essentially there's this little plastic tab, and you kind of just work the harness away from this little hook, plastic hook. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see one there, one right there, one right there. So it's just on alternate sides, but so with that out of the way, and the valve cover has been pried up, I will drop the camera and get this thing out. Alright, once you have everything free, especially this rear harness out of the way, kind of tucked back, very easy. Just kind of snake it through, and well, here's a top end of a M52. Your exhaust cam, your intake cam, your Vanos assembly right here. Tarnish is what I expect. Maybe not had the most frequent oil changes, but all my cam lobes look like they're in good condition. Yeah, So we're gonna do a spot of cleaning and start reassembling. Valve cover gasket itself, not the worst I've seen. The X5, especially on the hot side, turbo side, it it was very brittle. It would crack. You couldn't even pull it out. But this is not too bad. Obviously, it was bad enough to be leaking, but still is, you know, still somewhat feels like rubber. So definitely better than the X5. And I mean, there's some grime, some dirt, as to be expected, but overall, not too bad. All right, we'll do some cleaning and we'll start reassembling. All right, so I've got the hardware cleaned up with the tools that I have, and then new grommets. Absolutely do not reuse these. Old ones are rock solid. They feel like plastic, so, and they're cheap. They're like 80 cents. And you need 15 of them. So go ahead and replace those. And then got the valve cover gasket installed on the valve cover. And then we got RTV at this seam right here, this seam right there, as well as the half moons on the back side, which I'm sure you cannot see that great, but they're back there. So we're gonna go ahead and install the valve cover. So the valve cover gasket is in, not tightened down yet, but I had to use zip ties to hold the gasket to the actual valve cover, because without that it would just flop and fall out. So once we got that, it went smoothly. Everything is, all the nuts are started. So now I'm gonna just I'm gonna do the center, and then I'm gonna probably just do a zigzag, hand tight, get it close, snug, and then hit it with the torque wrench, which I need to look up what the final torque spec is. But that's the plan. Well, I got everything bottomed out, all the bolts. And the first one I wanted to torque down, which is, it was one of the weird ones where it's the two halves essentially. Got this top stud, and you got a bottom stud that drills into the head. Well, this very first one, this was the one that came out of the head, so it was one assembly. That one snapped when I went to torque it. So unfortunately the valve cover has to come off because I can't, there's not enough to bite on the head, on the nut, because there's a nut down there, you can see it, but I can't, yeah, you can kind of see it. The socket is just too big, so I can't, and the valve cover is in the way, so I can't get a socket to bite on it. So I'm gonna have to order one of those and take everything off again. So, oh well, it is what it is. It's not too big of a deal. It's not too much of a setback, but it's kind of annoying. But well, that's gonna wrap up this video for me, at least. So anyway, as I was saying, that's gonna wrap it up for my day. I'm gonna probably just loosen these just a little bit so it's not all the pressure on the gasket and the grommets. So but yeah, I'm gonna have to go order a bolt, and you can see it broken off on there. I'm not even surprised. Pretty much happens with every job. So anyways, thanks for following along. We'll we'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully it'll be with the valve cover getting fixed and the radiator, and we'll start putting stuff back together. So thanks guys for watching. This is the end of episode 2 of Project Georgia.